Welcome back to another magical adventure of Mr. Mixer. We are recording this because, well, we're recording this. That's right, if you remember where we ended on the last N50 videos, we had this machine all re-greased and inspected. We've gone through that, as well as this newer one over here. Now, this machine, it does have a giant split in the power cord right here. Now, while those inner wires are okay, we can't send this home like this. So what we did, we went over to the hardware store. We got some 12 gauge wire here, guys. We've stripped it down, and we're gonna show you how to replace the power cord on the Hobart N50. Now we are going to need a few tools and supplies for this repair here. So I have some heat shrink right here. I have a few butt splices, and also I have a heat gun. So this is how I'm going to do this. This is going to be the most secure way to do it. If you do not have this stuff, just some regular old wire nuts will suffice. But you know, since I'm charging a customer for this, I need to make sure that it is done, you know, perfect, proper. Now before we get too far down the line here, there are a few other things you're gonna need. One is a cord, guys. This is a, like I said, 12 gauge cord. This is just a stretch of extension cord, right? We went to the hardware store, bought a 10-foot extension cord, peeled one of the ends off. Obviously we left the male end on there so we can plug this baby in. You're also gonna need a handy dandy pair of needle nose pliers. They work in a pinch. And lastly, before we get this party started, we gotta call the strippers. Hey, can you hand me the strippers? Thank you. Yeah, that's right. Wire strippers, guys, because we're going to have to peel back those wires so that we can splice them together. It's not a party without strippers. All right, to get started here, we do need to go ahead and remove, this is called a strain relief right here, guys. And this strain relief, it's just kind of a press fit. There's a little tab on there. We're going to get on there with our needle nose pliers. And we're going to just bite down on that and just do a little wiggle in there. That should pop out of place like so. Now we can go ahead and just pop this off of the cord here. We can reuse this. If yours is broken, we can also replace these. Now you can see right here where the crimp on this cord is. We can just pull that out a little ways. Here are the wires. Now unfortunately there's not a whole lot we can do from here. That was just to get this out. Now we actually have to take this whole base off to get up into this neck portion. In order to do that, we gotta get tipsy. I'm gonna tip this over so you can see. Now that we tip this over, you're gonna notice there are 4 large bolts here. Now these particular ones, they are a flathead screwdriver. These could be any sort. They could be hex, they could be just a regular old socket, who knows, but this is a flathead, so we're gonna go ahead and remove these screws here. Now this is what we look like when we get them out, guys. There is going to be a lock washer on there as well as the bolt. Again, there are 4 of them. Let's go ahead and remove all of those. Now we are on our last bolt here, guys. Make sure that you keep some downward pressure here, right? It gets a little top heavy. It's gonna wanna fall off. So we wanna make sure, keep one hand on there at all times. We wanna hold this baby in place. We'll go ahead and get this last bolt out here, and then we can go ahead and just remove this base. Now upon removing this base, there is a ground wire right here, guys, so we do have to remove that before we can take this base all the way off. That's what we're getting hung up on here. So let's just go ahead and remove this one screw for the ground wire. And once that screw is removed, we can just go ahead and remove this entire base. So upon removing that base and the ground wire here, what we're left with are some wires that are just wire nutted together, and they got some electrical tape on them. We're gonna go ahead and just remove all of that tape. Now that tape was absolutely disgusting. Look at my hands, they're all black now. It's starting to break down. It's all just kind of real sticky and grimy. Okay, with all that tape off, we can go ahead and remove these wire nuts. These are just gonna twist off. They should just twist off, but they used a really small wire nut for a large gauge of wire. So these are kind of jammed up in there. Might have to cut these down a hair, but we'll get them off. All right, you can see here, we did get it off. It is still stuck on the power cord here. It did kind of break off the remaining wire right here. No problem, we're just gonna use the wire strippers to just peel a little bit of this back off of here to get a little bit better run of wire. Now hopefully the black one comes off a little bit easier. Let's take a look at that. And we're just running into the same thing. These are just jammed up in there. There's really no way to twist this off. We're probably gonna have to just cut it. Snip, snip. Well, golly, I wasn't expecting to run into problems that fast, but that's okay. Both of these are off. We can just go ahead now and pull this cord out of the back here. There we go. Now, before we go any further, we do want to go ahead and mark these wires. I'm going to put a piece of my own tape on here. This is just going to let me know that this was connected to the white wire. The one with tape was connected to the white wire. I don't believe that you can install them wrong. I think you can go on either one. These would be color-coded if you could. but just in case, we're gonna put them back on the same way. So we're gonna put the white wire on the cord that had the white wire and a black wire on the cord that had the black wire. Next, we're gonna need our wire strippers. Now, you can tell on these strippers, I don't know if you can read this here, but on the side of this, it does state what size these are for. So we have 10 gauge, 12 gauge, and it goes all the way down to the small 20, 22 gauge wires. We know we're using a 12 gauge wire, so we're gonna go ahead and select the 12 gauge slot here. And we're gonna want like a 1/2 inch or 3/8 of an inch here, sticking through the strippers, right through that 12 gauge slot. You do wanna bite into that. Now, once you clamp onto it, give it a little twisty here. It should just pull right away, exposing some bare wire. There we go. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and just snip off this little bit of excess right here. I do not need that, nor do I want it, so we're just gonna hack that off. And now we can take our 2 wires here and we can go ahead and just twist these wires, get a nice tight strand there. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna take our strippers and we need to strip, you know, like I said, a 1/2 inch or so, 3/8 of an inch off of all 3 of the wires, the white, the black, and the green. Here's a little bit better look at how you do this. We got it through the correct gauge hole. You just bite down, you give it a little twist, and you just kind of pull away like that. Now that we have all 3 of these stripped here, we do want to go ahead and just give them all a twist. Like I said, we want these nice tight strands. Take a look at those. Those look beautiful. Hi, Mom. Now, before we go any further, I want to show you on the newer style, guys. It's just 2 screws that hold this back cap in place. That just removes like this, and you're going to have the power wires exposed right here to do all of your work right here. It's a little bit easier. Now, if you're doing this at home and you don't have the heat gun and the heat shrink, this is where you'd be at. It'd be the time to grab some wire nuts, splice these wires together, add your wire nuts. You're gonna want some electrical tape. You're really gonna wrap, just like, you know, when I took those off, you saw they were wrapped pretty heavily in electrical tape. You're gonna wanna make sure to cover that entire strand of electrical tape. Make sure that everything is nice and secure, because you know, if that wire nut pops off of there and it connects this housing, I mean, boom, shock, it's gonna blow the breaker, it could damage the machine. So you wanna make sure that there is no chance of any exposed wires. All right, let's keep moving along. All right, so as you can see, I have my 2 strands of heat shrink here. We're gonna go ahead and drop these over the white wire and the black wire. Okay, just like that. Then we can go ahead and take our butt splices here. We got the blue butt splice. We're gonna take that, we're gonna put it right over the wire, push that up into place like so. Now, the way that these butt splices work, you guys, you see the blue plastic, and then if you look down in there, you can see that shiny, that is metal. Now, you put the wire into there, just like we've done here with this wire. Then we're gonna take our strips here, our wire strips. Now, these ones have a notation here. There's a little blue dot. That lets us know, okay, that is the selector that we want. It's a crimping tool. So we're gonna take this, we're gonna put it into our little crimper there, and we're just gonna squeeze really tight. Now, what that's gonna do is that it's going to collapse that metal tube that's in there. It's gonna flatten it so it bites into that wire, secures everything, make sure that it can't pull off out of place. Now, anytime I crimp a butt splice into place, I like to make sure I grab on the end of it, give it just a little tug to make sure that that is nice and secure. This one is secure. Let's go ahead and get our white wire with a butt splice on it as well. Okay, we got our second one in place. We're gonna give it a little tug. It's secure. All right, now that all the wires in the butt splice are secure, we can go ahead and just slide it through our hole back here. We wanna just get us enough wire through here that we can comfortably work. We're gonna take these butt splices now and we're gonna put them back to our power wires on the machine. Now, I took off our heat shrink as I was going through the hole here, so we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna drop those back into place. You don't wanna forget these guys, because once you put the butt splices together, well, you just can't get them on anymore. Okay, just like that. All right, now we have our wires. We're gonna go ahead and link these together. So we're gonna take the power wire from the machine here. We got the one that had the tape on it. We are the white one here with the white from the cord here. And we're gonna go ahead and just do the same exact thing. We're gonna input that wire and then we're gonna crimp it down into place. There we go, just like that. Now again, give this baby a little tug. Make sure that it's all secure. She is. And we can do the exact same thing now with our black wire. There we go, the black wire is in place. Again, give it a little tug, we are secure. Now we're ready to actually use the heat shrink here. Now let me show you how this heat shrink works. So we have our heat gun, right? We're gonna turn that on, and the goal is to just apply heat from the heat gun. This heat shrink is gonna suck up, and it's gonna just suck real tight around that butt splice and around these wires. Let's go ahead and get that process started. Now you wanna make sure that this is evenly centered, and you wanna make sure that you're not applying heat to anything that doesn't need to have heat applied to it. Take a look, we're starting to apply, you see it starting to melt a little bit. It's going to start to shrink up there. Now be careful because these heat guns can get pretty dang hot. We don't want to melt any of our actual wires. We just want to make sure that we're getting the heat shrink itself nice and snug on the machine, just like so. Take a look at that, guys. This thing nice and secured now. Now, before I go any further with my repair, what I want to do here, I have a little clip, guys. This is going to be for that ground wire. Remember, there was a screw that we had to take out to secure that ground wire? Well, I have a new clip right here. We're going to go ahead and put this into place on our ground wire. That way we can secure that. Now, this is going to be the exact same as those butt splices. We're just going to put our ground wire through like so. We'll see it start to pop out the other end right here. Take a look at that. You see right in the center of that circle, you can see our wire starting to protrude from there. Now we're just going to take our crimping tool and we're going to crimp this connector down to the ground wire. Now this might be some kind of science, but it's not rocket science, guys, so we can definitely get this figured out. Take a look. We're just going to go ahead, put our little crimp in right there, and this wire now should be nice and secure. She's not going anywhere. Now we're going to be perfectly grounded. So now that we have all of our wires connected right here, we can go ahead and start to pull out some of our cord right here. And as we can see, this is what we're going to be left with. It is a lot cleaner than it was. We got our grounding wire right here. We'll put that on the base. But now you do want to give yourself, a little bit of a lead in there, right? So that if you need to pull this out for some reason, you're going to have a little bit of a lead in there. That's about the right amount, 2 or 3 inches there. And we can go ahead now and put on our strain relief again. As you can see here, I got my strain relief right about where I want it. I'm going to go ahead. I like to use a pair of locking pliers for this. A regular pair of pliers will work, but we just need to give this thing a real nice crimp. That way it locks that onto the cord. Now once you got this strain relief cinched down pretty good, we're going to grab our needle nose again, and we are just going to work this back into place just so that everything is, there we go, nice and firm. You can apply some tension right here. You can see it is holding relief, right? I'm pulling pretty hard. I'm not able to pull this wire out. That's the job of the strain relief, to make sure that you can't pull hard enough here to actually, rip on your power wires here. All right, at this point, we are ready to reinstall our base and get ready to patch this thing up. I'm gonna take a brief intermission here. This is pretty dang grimy right here, so I'm gonna clean all of this up before I put it back together. There we go, take a look at that. Just a little clean, it made a world of difference. All right, so now that we got the base clean, guys, we got our little tiny ground screw right here. We're gonna go ahead and get that started on our clip here, and we're gonna work to get that done. We don't have a whole lot of room to work with here. Get our base situated in the right orientation, and we're just gonna go ahead and screw this into place right here on the base where it goes so we can have a ground. Okay, we got it started. Get our screwdriver here and go ahead and buckle that baby up. There we go, our ground screw is nice and tight here. We can go ahead and just put the base back down and get ready to put our screws into place. All right, so we got one of our mounting bolts started here by hand. There are 4 of these, so we're gonna go ahead and just kind of get all of these into place here. Remember, gotta keep a hand on the base here. This is top heavy, it'll try and topple. So we can go ahead and get these in here. Once you get one of them down and you get it kind of tight, it'll kind of hold itself in place. You don't want to over tighten one right off the bat, because then you're going to have a hard time getting your holes lined up. So go ahead and get one into place, then go ahead and work to get the rest screwed in. All right, we got our 4 bolts in place. We can test, we can wiggle this base. It's not going anywhere. It is nice and secure. Now, one thing to note while you have this machine turned over, if any of your feet are missing or they're looking real sad, we can actually replace these. These are gonna be the same feet as the K5SS variation of the KitchenAid mixer, and we do have these available on our website. All right, I got her turned back over. Everything is nice and secure here. We're just ready to turn this puppy on and see what happens. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I knew it wasn't going to be a problem. Listen to that kitty purr. Well, we have reached the end of our journey here. Thank you so much for sticking around. As you've seen, this is how you change the power cord on a Hobart N50. Now, if you didn't see the re-greasing video first on this machine, we'll link that to the end of this video. We show you how to take this whole thing down so you can inspect the gears and re-grease the machine. Now, as always, if you're needing any parts or tools or supplies to fix mixers, we have them available on our website. Now, we mostly deal with KitchenAid mixers. You guys know that. Most of you know that already. We literally have anything that you might need for your mixers. We have bowls and attachments and accessories, even inventions that we've made ourselves that improve your mixing practice. So, if this video has helped out, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. Check out our website, mrmixer.store, for your one-stop shop for all of your mixer needs. We'll see you next time. Oops. Camera fart.